Again, in essays, what I'm really looking for as a nutshell is tell me something new, not something which I've already seen in your transcripts or something I can see in your resume. If you're going to tell me that you did some community work somewhere, don't just tell me you did the work. I can see that in your transcripts. I can see that in your resume written out. Tell me what's not there. Really, the essay is this one chance you have to show to the admissions committee that you are different, that you are unique. And if you think of it, that's really what they're looking for. They're looking for people who are unique. So show that side to them, and try to make your essays not as wordy or as charismatic in the English language, but in actually having substance. One of the things I see people making a lot of mistakes is they try to make their language so pretty, but their substance is missing. What's missing is, have they even answered the question correctly, or have they missed out on some important parts of their life? But if they've done this kind of essay brainstorming, which some of you have done with me, I've looked at your essays when they came to me, and they looked so boring when I saw them. They looked like a kitchen sink, just thrown a bunch of things written in there. And then what came out after the brainstorming was very similar content what they had put in, but using some stories, putting some action. It put a smile on my face when I read those second time. And in some ways, I had helped you put it together, but just reading them make me just smile because I could see a story in there, and that was exciting. So that's really what I'm trying to get is, make sure that you're telling me something new, something which stimulates my thinking. Make me imagine who you are like. That's what I should be some kind of a mystery person who's going to do something cool, and that's what you want to know about me. Try to make, if you're stuck with your essays, try to make a list of all the essays you have to write. So like, for example, you have the UC essays, the Common App, then you have the other app for the other essay type, I forget the name, which is more popular in the East Coast. You have Common App, and then you have the other type of essay. But make sure you have your entire list ready. At least, like University of Chicago has like 7, 8 prompts. Stanford has 2 prompts. Some of these schools have very unique prompts. Some will say, tell me why you want to come to my school. But make sure your entire list of prompts there's a laundry list ready somewhere. And, try to detail your thinkings in terms of, moments that you remember. Just the details and the moments, they matter. Talk it out a lot before you write. And this is something which I tell many of you, which is when you're going to talk to me, don't send me, if you're going to write something, make sure it's one of those essays we talked about, but plan a strategy. I'm going to write this essay and this over here, or this story, and this is the form I'm going to put it in, put a visualization. So make sure you talk it out before you write. You don't just have to have a unique topic. It's just got to be you, right? I mean, the very fact that you tutored a kid who was struggling with math, and you were able to see a side of him that nobody else could see, and you could actually tickle him a certain way, is a very unique story. And take pride in those small stories. Your stories don't have to be prima donna stories of, you went to Timbuktu and you saved 3 people from dying. Rarely with us Silicon Valley people have that much privilege, or the misfortune to go through bad times or having to help somebody in those situations. Our lives are fairly boring, but you can make them interesting. There are ways to do it. I like this as well. Somebody wrote this. Do not start with the essay with these long hours, considering a opening line. Like the very fact that I see an opening line like this at 5 a.m. with sweat, tears, and blood as I train on uneven bars, I'm already imagining, I'm already thinking, right? Ask for help from your teacher, a guidance. Reach out to me. Just send me a note of your essays. I'll just respond back and tell you what I think about it, and I'll just start helping you right away, okay? Most people will try to help you guys out, so you're not alone. This again intrigued me. Again, I copy a lot of things on Google. I just find something and I just put it up over here. But I'll give you guys a minute to just read this, okay? And you'll see how this person took a chance to give his narrative a title. Like this is typically, these 6 words are actually a part of his essay. He actually gave this a narrative, which is pretty cool, right? I mean, instead of making me imagine what you're going to tell me about, surprise me with something pretty cool, right? Put a narrative on top, make your essays concise. Instead of 650 words, make it 649 words, and keep some place for narrative on top. Then if you look at this, what he's written, there's no earth shattering. There's nothing like Shreya's English was so complicated at times. It was full of passive writing, and it just sounded like it's all about going and getting the stars. And I don't think it needs to be that. They're just trying to see who you are, not really trying to learn about your writing skills. I mean, it's good to have good writing skills, but see how he talks about softball is not just my game. I've had a knack for getting hit in the head by the ball. It's showing his vulnerable side. Then it says nothing happened for 3 games, and well, something started happening after that. And I started dreaming, and so I like these kind of statements, right? They're just events in the order. There's linearity. They're talking his feelings about the situation. I see a human being in this person, right? I don't see a robot here. I mentioned this in the juniors essay last week, or the junior session. Think of yourself as Steve Jobs. Each of you is a Steve Jobs of your own career. Okay? A lot of kids have a lot of self-esteem problems, but you know what? Honestly, you're seniors. You've got 2 months left. You better start thinking you're Steve Jobs. Okay? If he writes an essay to go to school, obviously the word Apple will not be over there, but there'll be stuff like what he writes will make you think about these things about him. How innovative is he? How amazing he is, how inspiring is he as a thinker? Or brave, great, cool, right? You'll see these words. You won't see words which I think you should show is vulnerable, honest, simple, high thinker. Those are things which should show up in your essays. 5 things that should never be in your essays. Firstly, your essay should never be a chronological order of your resume. I already see in your resume. Try to make your essay not have literally not have anything that was written in your resume or in your Common App essay. Even at least have your essay be something like maybe it's referring to something that was written over there. Like maybe you were a champion at some game and you're talking about what happened in that game. So in the transcript, it just says, or in the resume, you were a champion of this, softball somewhere. But in the essay, you actually write something about how you got your butt kicked in the game of, softball. Don't be generic. This is a big mistake I see. People, particularly this I see with, people who've gone through a very hard time. Like they maybe have had sexual assault problems or unfortunate things have happened in their life. If you make your answer too generic, if your essay, without providing details, I realize details are they hurt you at times. The more the details, the more I'm likely to believe you. Understand that me as a reader, I'm trying to see, are you just trying to impress me or this is real you? Okay. So be more detail oriented. If you did something for days, say I did it for 4 days and a quarter of the last day. It's important to say those things. This one I see a lot, right? I got an A. Everything is about, oh, how cool am I? Look at me. I was down in the dumps and then I got an A and I got a B here and A plus over here. I can see that. I can see that in your essay. I can see that in your transcripts. I don't need you to tell me that. If you want to tell me how you went about it, you did something unique, some special circumstances in which you want to talk about, tell me that. I know you have an A. I don't like words like, I'm hardworking, honest, passionate, ambitious. Tell me a story that says that. One of the guys I was working with, and I actually had to take all those words out. I was like, everything you're writing has a cliche. Tell me a story. If you don't have a story, forget it. Let me make that decision. Are you smart? Are you honest? Are you brilliant? You don't need to tell me that. Then there's the mission trip essay. I went to Timbuktu, or I went to Kuala Lumpur, and I helped 5 kids. I was a part of a team that made 10 houses. Well, you did that for 1 week of your life. And possibly your parents had some pull in the church that they got you over there. Or you went to, you went to San Francisco and you saw a homeless person. That can't change your life. And if it did, tell me how it changed your life. Don't tell me about what you did over there. I want to know, I want to see a longer lasting impact. Finally, it's called the Jesus essay. 2 things you never talk about in essays or stay away from is politics and religion. You never know what people believe in. I mean, if you have to talk about it, but try to stay away if you can. Now we get into essay brainstorming. This is the part of the essay where you haven't even started writing your essays. Many of you are actually juniors. Some of you are actually even 10th graders on this session today, right? This is the perfect time for you to start thinking, right? What are you like? You can, in this brainstorming session, it's fine to say, what is my strongest personality trait? Heck, your personality trait might be you're very sensitive. Personality trait might be your you are honest, or tenacious. You hear these cliches all the time, right? But every time you're going to write something about a trait, tell me something about what distinguishes you from everybody else. Everybody is honest, everybody is hardworking, everybody works their tail off, everybody has gone through low times. If tenacity it is, give me a story about it. This I liked. How do your friends characterize you? What would they say if they wrote your essay? This one, everybody has a story around here. Realize what brainstorming is really a tickling process. You tickle the mind to actually come up with stories. It's so hard for you to come up with your own stories. But if I ask you questions like this, like what's your favorite book? What did you like about that book? You might tell me a book of, maybe it's Jane Eyre, or you might tell me, like, when I was growing up, Ayn Rand was a big one for me. At 16, I read Ayn Rand's Fountainhead. It's a heavy book, but I was into heavy books. But Ayn Rand really opened my head towards capitalistic ideas, and there was a reason for it, because I was very poor, and I was looking forward to ideas of this kind. I grew up in India where there was a lot of bureaucracy. So if somebody asked me this question, what's your favorite book? I would say Ayn Rand, and that person wouldn't just stop there. It's like, what about Ayn Rand? Why did you choose Ayn Rand over Hardy Boys or Mills and Boons or whatever was available at your time? And then the person will start going into details. And a lot of this I do with a lot of kids when I actually do some of this brainstorming, and it's fun listening to it. And it's important that the responses, whatever come from the person, be written down verbatim. Whatever you're speaking should be written down. In fact, when I do these brainstorming exercises, I open a Zoom window where the Google Doc on which I'm writing, making notes, can be seen by the person whose interview I'm taking, because I want them to see what notes I'm taking. I want them to see what I'm writing, which is their words. They should never be my words or my interpretation. They should be just literally verbatim what you said. And then I might highlight some of those words because I find them very interesting, and I might come back to you later. Okay, but that's really brainstorming. Movies that have impacted you, work of art, like, does Monet impact you? What, I'm sure everybody sees movies. What movies impacted you? Why are they your favorites? This I found interesting, the last one. Have you experienced a moment of epiphany? I'm sure if I asked you guys, have you gone through an epiphany? You'd say, no, I don't know. I never had an aha moment where I realized I'm the next Albert Einstein. But an epiphany doesn't have to be, it's a moment of truth. When an idea struck you. For me, I remember when I was putting up the name of my website, I wanted something which represented me selling something, and I wanted something which represented my brand. And that epiphany of calling it Sales Coach came when I was on a bicycle going at 40 miles an hour downhill in Santa Cruz. And I was like, that's the name I'm going to give it, right? And obviously something with the bike, and if I really start thinking it through, I mean, I can come up with why on a bicycle with the air going by my ears, and the feeling of being above everybody else in the sky, in the air, and feeling like a machine. All those things will come to my head of why that epiphany happened, or why I came up with that name at that particular moment, right? But that will start showing you my creativity about who I am, how I changed in my own thinking because of a certain set of scenarios. So think of epiphany not as, don't discount it. So first question was, what are you like? Second is, what have you done? Third is, where do you want to go, right? So what are you like is really your personal traits. What have you done is typically, again, this is where your transcript and resume comes in. So literally your first two lines over here major accomplishments, why you consider them. So major, what is your accomplishment is already in the transcript. Why you consider it an accomplishment is a different thing altogether. Why? Like Shreya would sweat over, if she ever even got a B in her grade, that would be like the end of life. She would cry and cry after coming home that she got a B. And but she associated her success, her confidence with the grade. And most mission kids have the same problem in some ways. And Shreya was no different from the other kids. But there were times when she got a B and she was able to overcome it, and then she get later, to do something different about it. I don't have a very good story there because this nerd always landed up getting A's. But there could be major accomplishment of what you might not, or might not show up clearly as a major accomplishment, but you might consider it an accomplishment. Second one is also a cliche, what you've done outside, which is often demonstrates your qualities sought by universities. But which one of these means the most to you? You can get creative, right? Your transcript calls out 4 things. One of them was more important to you than others because of something, like it reminded you of your past, or if it reminded you of something else, or it was symbolic from some other standpoint, right? You weren't getting in, but then you finally got in. Have you struggled mightily for something and then succeeded? What made you succeed? And this, most of us have some answer about success where we're like, oh, this grade wasn't coming in. What about your games? I was not that good a runner. I used to get cramps. I overcame it and, made things work by changing my diet or something, right? That's the struggle. This one, most people will not even dare to answer. Whatever mightily failed at something, and how did you respond? And I've noticed in my career, even in sales, people have always been more interested in knowing about my failures than about my successes. Nobody wants to hear about success. Success is overrated in some ways. People are like, okay, everybody wants to talk about the successes. But if you start talking about your failures where you went down and you went down in the abyss and you turned things around, people want to hear about that. So how did you respond? How elegant were you in your response? Or what was your core inner strength that actually made you respond? Where is your North Star that helps you in making those decisions? Is important to talk. And this is your chance in the essays to talk this language. What was the most difficult time of your life? How did it change your perspective? Difficult time could very well be just in a timeout for 3 days with your parent because you did something really goofy or you felt the parent was completely wrong. That's okay. It is a difficult time because it's a time of duality. It's a Hamlet situation at that point. You be or not to be, which side do you go? So don't take difficult time. Again, has to be, I was hungry for 10 days and I was kidnapped. Many of us don't have those stories, but there are still, my point is be proud of your story because you do have the stories. And when somebody will start talking to you about your stories, try not to have it be your parent because your parent will not, they know too much about you. Don't go to a third person who doesn't know as much about you. One of the kids who I was talking to, his mom was listening on the line while I was putting this whole story together. At the end of the session, when we finished the brainstorming session, her biggest comment was like, there's so much you asked my son today on this call, which even I didn't know about him, right? And think of it, I barely known that kid for, 5 hours before that? And the mom's lived with the kid. But that's why I'm able to ask curious questions and she's not because she has too much vested in that process, okay? So think of that's the importance of having a third party. And most counselors, admissions counselors that you work with, consultants, they're just notoriously bad at this thing. It's shameful, but they don't spend time on doing these things. Where do you want to go? Of all the places in the world, where would you right now be? Okay. This question comes in most essays, somewhere or the other in your application process, this question will come. Living or dead, who would you like to be with? One person, right? This doesn't have to be Mahatma Gandhi or Nelson Mandela or Martin Luther King. It could very well be your grandmother. You could very well be complaining about your mother to your grandmother about your mother, saying why I feel you should have, taught her something different. I'm just throwing something in the air, right? The point is, it's got to be meaningful. You could have a feud with a person, living or dead. You could be like, I actually, in my personal life, and I was thinking just earlier today, who would I write about? I had a very close friend growing up and he was only with me till I was 13 years or 12 years old. And I used to get bullied a lot in where I lived in Mumbai. And this boy, Nilesh, was my best and closest friend that time, not for any other reason. The bullies never came close to me when he was around, and he would beat the hell out of the kids. Yeah. Unfortunately, at the age of 21, Nilesh committed suicide. Okay? He died. And he had a he had a challenging past, and unfortunately and all. But when I was writing this essay, I never even thought about it. I wrote about people like, who did I write about? I wrote about that guy, Superman, who's quadriplegic now. Oh, he died. The original Superman. And I wrote about him and why it mattered to me. But think of it this way: if I had written about Nilesh in my essay when I was applying for schools, I think it would have made a much better impact to somebody, right? Because it was something very personal, something real. I didn't just go and find a celebrity's name and write about that. I wrote a good one about his quadriplegic perspective and what happened in his life. But that guy was my friend, Nilesh. He died at 21, right? My point is, I wanted to meet him, understand what could have I done different? What could have I done for him, in his life? Or what went wrong? And I know some of the things that did go wrong. Maybe I want to apologize to him for not being there for him, right? That maybe I want to fight with him that, I was counting on you in my life and you're not there anymore. And here's my life right now. And here's how I become new because of you, because I think about you. That shows a side of you. It's important. Dreams for the future, looking back in 30 years. This is hard for you kids. Kids don't know what the next day is going to be like, but dreams of the future can be there. You can dream about an equal life. You can dream of a COVID-free world. You can dream about a world where, the minorities are not hung so badly as they are right now. You could write a lot of things over here, what you would consider for your life to be successful. Maybe for some people, having $2 million in the bank is success. For some people, health is success. For some people, mentoring and letting people not go through what they went through is success, right? How does a university fit into your plan? Any university, right? Just these are important questions to think about. What am I trying to look forward to university? Like my school mission is literally 70% Asian populated, all of them going in one direction, trying to get a straight A, right? I want to go in the real world in college and meet some minorities. I want to meet kids. I want to meet sports people. I want to meet eccentric professors. That's university. That's the charm of university for you. Could be that, right? Why do you want to spend 2 to 6 years in a particular school? Right? This is an important thing. When you look at Berkeley, why do you like Berkeley? Is it because the food outside? Is it because some nerd inside that you know about? These are important questions to think about. Finally, I'll talk about proofreading. This becomes important when, especially like I actually have put the name and the phone number of a lady, Carol, who I used for Shreya's essays. Proofreaders are not very expensive. Like I think Carol was like 25 or 30 bucks an hour or something, but she would turn things around very quickly for us. When we would finish an essay, when I would be done with everything on the essay with Shreya, I would send them off to Carol and just email it to her. She would do a 2 or 3 hour turnaround and she would proofread it. She would literally go through this entire checklist. I found this checklist online, so you can actually still use this checklist, but these are people who do this for a living. And if you're going to do this for like 20 colleges, it pays to have one person last minute, do this work for you. Okay. This was some funny part, like revisit your politics, cut the crap, paraphrase. If you've taken something from the web, it's okay to get inspiration from something from the internet. Many of you, when you've come to me, I've actually found some good things for you, which I've said use as inspiration, but don't cut and paste from the inspiration. Plagiarism will get your essay in the toilet. What I typically do is with kids is, if I know they've copied something from the internet or something where even I have made a change in their essay based on what I was telling them, because I don't want them to be writing what my language is. It should never stink of my language. And one of you is actually on this line over here who's going to get this next time when you talk to me, which is literally, okay, look at your essay and just memorize it and write it all over again. And you can't see it like next time when you then just memorize it, try to write it again. And it's going to come in your language. It won't come in my language. Because one thing admissions officers are good at is they can smell the language of a parent or an expert on top of it. Okay? I've got some tips here for parents. You're going to have a lot of arguments with your parents in the next 2-3 months, guys. Seniors, you have no options. I'm just trying to ease some of your pain here. Um, you got to avoid these arguments over college essays. Many times, I have friends whose kids won't show them the essay at all. The kid doesn't think, kid thinks it's too personal. Kid is too shy. Kid feels he's going to get too much of a lecture if he shows that essay. He's pretty much done with you, and that's okay. Kids are going through a lot of stress right now, but there are kids I know whose parents will not see the essay at all. Period. They won't see it. Okay. You got to diffuse these tensions. You got to have, like I said, begin the process a little early. We're late for that. Summer, senior is the preferable time. Agree on the deadlines. This is important, right? Use a calendar and something which says, okay, this is by when we expect essay number 1 or Berkeley essay to have a first draft sent over to your counselor to review it. Counselor should be okay with it. So it's still staying at the periphery level, but saying, okay, this is what you and I agreed on. Are we on that level or not? Try considering reducing some other obligations. Like kids don't have to show up for extracurriculars, volunteering, part-time jobs, which could be overloading them. Get more organized. This is one area kids are bad at. Shreya was horrible at organizing herself. So I managed her spreadsheet. In fact, I pretty much took over her email address because schools were sending things and I wanted to be on top of all those things. So I got her organized. Kids don't know these things. This is what they've not learned in school. We didn't do this thing, but arrange for regular 10-minute consultations, right? Meet somewhere outside where they feel like they have a place to go away. Don't meet them in their room. That's the worst place to meet them because they feel cornered in that room. So, these are, of course, I'm saying all this stuff, but if Shreya's listening on this thing, she's probably laughing, saying, these are just all the things that this guy did not do with me and now he's telling everybody else. But these are learnings, right? You realize, just be realistic, right? I mean, there's only so much the kid can do. I mean, completing supplemental tax, essays. This is huge. It's very, very time consuming. And lastly, remember this process will be over. Shreya and I, our relationship blossomed during the process, but many parents I know, they'll end up with fractured relationships with their kids because all they did was yelling at this time. And that's what the kids remember saying, my hard time, all you did was you were yelling at me. Okay.